Hey everyone, welcome to the Cashing In on Creativity Show. This is the show where we showcase artists, authors, musicians, learn about their life, learn how to improve your business, and get educated so that you can be successful in your own creative business. So check us out at cashinginOnCreativityPodcast.com, and let's get on with the show. We're going to take a look back at where we started and bring you up to date on what's coming up and what's happening for the future of 2026. If you're listening to this in December, I'd just like to say happy holidays to you. Hope you have a good one. And thanks for watching Cashing In on Creativity Television. So let's get started. Where did we start? Well, you know, if you are new to this podcast or television show, then it actually started back in 2017, 18. Yeah, we've been around for a while, and we were doing it for about 4 years. The pandemic hit. It got a little harder to get guests and do those kind of things. And so we kind of put it on a hiatus for a while. But the show is for those of you that are creatives, whether you're a visual artist, an author, a musician, or somebody that's using your talents in a creative way to create a business or create a career or create a life for yourself, which is what we're all looking forward to. So we put on a bit of a hiatus, and then because of the pandemic, a lot of other stations like Your TV were having issues getting people into a studio creating shows, and this show got picked up by Your TV for the television part of it. I remember Stu asking me, he goes, do you have any video content? Well, when we started this show, a lot of it was just like radio. There was no visual aspect to it. It was a podcast. That's what we started it. So some of it we had because we had done some stuff live, others we hadn't. And so there we are where we had some to give them. We kind of did that. And what was happening, some of you may have already recognized me through my other show, Inspiring Youth, which was on Your TV for a long time. That ran for 8 seasons. So what was happening is Stu said, Bruce, we can't do 2 of you on the same season. That's just too much for our viewers. Stu, I don't blame you there at all, my friend. I certainly would have made this the right decision. But so this was running, the Cashing On Creativity show was running in the summer times when Inspiring Youth was on its break. So Inspiring Youth would go from September to roughly March, April, and then Cashing On Creativity would run from basically May to September. And so that's the way it was working, and it worked that way for a few years. It was kind of a relaxed schedule. We were giving content whenever it was available. And then something happened. I don't know. I got older. Who gets older? I know, just me. Anyway, I got older and found it harder and harder, especially since the pandemic, of course, going into schools and stuff, of working with youth and doing the Inspiring Youth show. It felt like it was the same guests year after year, and it was getting a bit old. And I wanted to keep it because, you know, anything I do, I put a lot of work into it, and I don't let it go easily. And I'm still not letting things go as easy as I should. But I decided that I'm going to put the focus on the art show, Cashing In on Creativity. And the reason for that is in my daily routine, daily life, I am meeting more with people who are artists, authors, musicians in the businesses that we have. And so it's easier to get guests. It's easier to keep kind of a flow. And so that's what's happened. So that happened in September. You may have noticed Inspiring Youth didn't come back on in September. Cashing On Creativity just kept going. And so that's what we're happening. So we're trying to keep it to a more of a regular schedule to where we have a regular season going on. So that's where we were. So where did we start? So basically, we are now looking to create content around those same people, authors, artists, and musicians. As we go into 2026, we will be a little more structured. Right now, we've been trying to get the workflow going. For any of you that have done anything to do with media, you know how much of a challenge the workflow alone is. And that's where we've been emphasizing for 2025, just getting onto a regular schedule, getting studios set up, getting all that stuff, because we weren't worried about visual at one time. So what did we have on the show? Well, we had a number of people. We started with the authors. When we kind of started in September being a little more serious with the show, there was a book fair going on. And one of our friends, Chris Boucher, who is with Gibbs Adventures, you've seen his episode here on the show, was one of the first ones. He was working at the book show. And so we went and we interviewed Chris. You can watch that on either your TV, or you can watch it on Cashing On Creativity podcast. And then we met T.R. Simmons, who was in the booth beside him at the book fair. And then we also talked with Michelle McLaughlin, who is with Erie River Publishing. And she actually is the one that put on the book fair. And so we thought, okay, you know what? Maybe this is where we're going to get our content. We still will do, Zoom and all that kind of stuff. And for a while, you're going to see a transition. But our goal for going into 2026 is to maybe attend more of these events, get a bunch of interviews, and then put them out on the show. So that's our goal. We've been doing that in the art side, on the visual art side, but we did have a couple other authors that came to our visual event. So you've probably known about the Blu Dog Gallery, who has been, supporting and being a location sponsor for us for about a year or two now. So this is a beautiful gallery in Oakville, Ontario on Rebecca Street. And Deborah Pierce, who owns the gallery, said, yeah, come on in. She's invited some of her artists in. Some of them I've invited in. And some of them just kind of came in by accident and go, what's going on here? So that's been very popular, and we're going to kind of try to do that, I think, through 2026, I think, as well. But sometimes authors sneak in there, too. Like Kate Dunn. Her and her mother, Deb, you saw this episode on your TV, actually created a children's book. And this is one that called Dreaming of Dresses. Kate wrote it. Her mother's the illustrator. That was a fun one of working together. Also, a friend of mine that I knew from the trucking industry who's written a series of books, Richard D. Ross. He's a Burlington author. And I got to say, he's one for 2025. I've never read a fiction novel. I am the kind of person, I need a lot of help. I read a lot of self-help books. But I read his book, Cobalt Conspiracy, and I gotta say, now it did have a truck driver in it, to be totally disclaimer there, but it was a really good read. So I would encourage you, if you're looking for Christmas presents or you're looking just for a good read, that would be one. So check out Richard D. Ross stuff. Now, on the art side, on the visual artist side, again, Chris Boucher, who, some of these cross. Chris is the one who also writes his books. He also illustrates his book because he's a cartoonist. So we had Chris Boucher on as well there. But then at the Blu Dog Gallery, we had Megan Hazen. Now, Megan is a beautiful Burlington artist. She does this wood burning with ink and paints and acrylics. She does stunning wood art. You want to check that out. Lisa D. Hickey, she's a Hamilton-based artist, and she does these wonderful light through trees type of abstracts, which are just beautiful. If you're looking for something to think that you're laying on the ground looking up at a tree, that's exactly what Lisa does. And she was a really fun interview for sure. Lori Fonger is another landscape artist who came out of finance and marketing and is now doing very well as a painter. We talked about Deb Dunn, who illustrated Dreaming of Dresses with her daughter, Kate. That was a fun one too. That was the first book she had ever done for sure. And then there's Heather DeHaan. Now, Heather is part of the all about inner networking and communications and networking with other artists. And so she's got a beautiful the Creative Collective is her group that she started, and she's also a visual artist, and you can see her teaching at many places around the area. So those were our visual artists. Some amazing stuff. Again, thank you to the Blu Dog Art Gallery for giving us a place to host these interviews, and we're looking forward to doing more in the future. Now, on the musician side, we've had a number of great things too. As you know, I also have a radio station here in Burlington, Ontario called Lead Pedal Radio. It's part of the trucking industry and the car market and that kind of thing. We play a variety of music, but we also like to help indie artists on that as well. And we've always wanted to do that. I'm a big believer in helping those creatives. I'm trying to figure out how to do that in AI world now, because AI is coming in, and I'm going, is that song real person or not? So I'm trying to figure that out as we go along. But we've had some great artists on here, musicians. And now these ones come through, and a lot of times they're either done Zoom, but we've had Greg Zalewski on, who's a Brantford musician. He invited us down to his studio. We did a whole show from there. In fact, you may have seen him there and on the Inspiring Youth Show because we took my granddaughter there for her birthday as well. Danny Thompson was on. He opened a new music store. He's a wonderful musician from the Delhi area, and he opened a music store, and we had a whole conversation about what's it take to take your love of music he performs around and then open a store based on that. That was crazy. We talked with Caden Gordon. Caden Gordon is a musician from the United States. He's learning to be a musician. He's actually more of a promoter. Started his own radio show, syndicated it, and now he helps a lot of the musicians in the United States, indie musicians. We talked with Angela Baltquaz. Now, Angela used to be in the trucking industry. I've known Angela for years. She used to wrap these giant trailers, so I've known her for years. But now she's starting a rock festival. She's semi-retired, started a rock festival, and we've been talking about that. We talked with Michael Bate of the Michael Bate Band. Now, Michael is an indie musician, started in the pandemic, although he'd been playing for years and years, and now he is getting very serious, releases music on a regular basis, and really enjoys that, and we've been helping him for sure. And then one that you probably saw recently was our friend Brandon Boron. Now, Brandon is a military musician in the United States, and took his love, now this was a fun one because he took his love of music, also his passion of the trucking industry, which was very cool, especially we talk about some of the old movies and stuff. And then he wrote a children's book to do with Santa. So Santa's using a truck, and he's created a song to go with it and the story, and he's launched that. He launched that in November. So you probably have seen that if you've been watching the shows on a regular basis. Check out Brandon Boren. If you're looking for a great Christmas gift, this was one to get for sure. So those are some of the musicians we had. Those ones come usually through Lead Pedal Radio. That's where I'm getting those ones. The visual artists come through the Blu Dog Art Gallery a lot, and then the authors come through either Erie River Publishing or other publishing book fairs that I go to. So if you're an artist, an author, or a musician, then you may want to check us out. Anyway, all right, so that's what's happened for 2025. That's where we are. And just wanted to wish you a happy holidays if you're listening to this, the time of the holidays. And thanks for watching. Thanks for your support. And we hope to see you again on YouTube. Thanks for listening to the show. Hope you enjoyed that. Make sure you subscribe and follow the show on our socials. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and X, and TikTok. And also you can subscribe to the podcast on your favorite podcast platform. Thanks for listening to the show, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.